They called her Rome's most dangerous woman, not because she carried a sword, but because she could destroy men with just a smile. Imagine this: marble halls, flickering torches, and a woman so beautiful that even statues looked jealous. Her name, Valeria Messalina, the Empress of Rome, the wife of Emperor Claudius, but also the most scandalous figure in all of Roman history. Now, before you picture her in silk robes surrounded by luxury, let's get one thing straight. Messalina wasn't just another pampered royal. She was smart, calculating, and wildly ambitious. And when ambition meets beauty in ancient Rome, you already know something tragic and juicy is about to happen. So grab your goblet of wine or tea, if we're keeping it civilized. Because this story isn't just about forbidden love, it's about lust, betrayal, and power games that could make any modern soap opera look boring. Let's begin. Claudius was no young hero. He was old, awkward, and had a limp. People whispered that Rome only made him emperor because everyone else was dead. Seriously, the guy was more of a historian than a fighter. And yet somehow he ended up married to Messalina, a woman nearly 30 years younger, with the looks of a goddess and the cunning of a politician. When she walked into the palace, every senator's head turned. Some claimed her eyes could melt marble. Others said her voice could make even enemies surrender. But behind that perfect face was a mind spinning with schemes. Messalina quickly realized. Claudius might be emperor, but she could be the one pulling the strings. So she played the part, the loyal wife, the beautiful consort, the perfect Roman lady, at least on the surface. Behind closed doors, that's where things get interesting. Now, Rome was no stranger to gossip. But when the whispers about Messalina started, even the slaves paused to listen. She was seen sneaking through corridors late at night, meeting senators, generals, even poets, men who should have known better than to fall for an empress. But one by one, they did. Some claimed she hosted secret parties where the city's most powerful men competed for her attention. Others swore they saw her disguised, wandering through the streets of Rome at night, visiting the kind of places no noblewoman should ever step foot in. And while Claudius sat in his study writing about Roman law, his wife was rewriting the rules of desire. It wasn't just lust, it was control. Every affair, every rumor, every conquest gave her power, over senators, over rivals, over Rome itself. But of course, in ancient politics, power always comes with a price. Enter Gaius Silius, Rome's most handsome man. Strong jaw, golden hair, muscles sculpted like they'd been approved by the gods themselves. Basically, the Roman version of a movie star. When Messalina saw him, it wasn't love at first sight. It was something darker, obsession. And Silius. He knew exactly what kind of danger he was stepping into, but he didn't care. After all, being the lover of an empress wasn't just thrilling, it was intoxicating. The two began an affair so reckless, so public, that even the palace guards pretended not to notice. Messalina didn't care. She tasted absolute power and she wanted more. But what came next would push even Rome's boundaries of scandal, because Messalina wasn't satisfied with being emperor's wife anymore. She wanted to be queen for real, and she was about to risk everything to get it. You know how some people just can't stop pushing their luck? Well, Messalina didn't just push it. She slammed the door open, danced in, and set the whole empire on fire. Because one day, while still married to Emperor Claudius, she decided to do something absolutely insane. She married someone else. Yes, married, while her husband was still alive. And not just anyone, but her lover, Gaius Silius. It wasn't some secret temple thing either, no. She threw a full Roman wedding. Priests, witnesses, flowers, music, the whole dramatic parade. The city literally stopped to whisper, "Is the empress getting married?" Again, Rome had seen crazy emperors before, but never an empress this bold. Picture it. Golden candles flicker across marble floors. Messalina walks down the aisle in a shimmering white tunic, her hair braided in gold threads, while Gaius Silius waits at the altar, every inch the perfect Roman hero. The crowd is frozen, half in shock, half in awe. And as the priest ties their hands with the wedding ribbon, one thought echoes across the hall. What on earth is she doing? To everyone else it was madness. To Messalina it was strategy. She believed Claudius was weak, that Rome would welcome a new, younger, more beautiful ruler. She wanted to make Silius emperor and rule beside him. It was love mixed with arrogance and just a sprinkle of delusion. But the problem with playing queen is that eventually, the real king finds out. Claudius was away from Rome when the rumors reached him. At first he laughed. He thought it was some joke like, "Oh sure, my wife married someone else. Good one." But then his chief advisor, Narcissus, handed him proof. Actual witnesses, letters, everything. And Claudius froze. The man who once adored Messalina couldn't believe she'd humiliated him like that. But when he realized it was true, the quiet, timid emperor turned cold. He gave one order: bring her to me, alive. And suddenly, the empire that once whispered her name in desire now hissed it in fear. The guards stormed through her villa like thunder. Silius was captured almost instantly. He didn't even get a chance to explain. Within hours, he was executed. Messalina, though, ran. Still dressed in her wedding gown, barefoot, she tried to reach Claudius before Narcissus could turn him fully against her. She wanted to beg, to cry, to charm her way out like she'd always done. But this time, charm wasn't enough. Claudius refused to see her. And Narcissus, knowing her talent for manipulation, convinced him to sign her death order. When the soldiers finally found her hiding in the gardens, she realized it was over. They handed her a dagger and said, "The emperor has spoken." She tried to plead. She trembled. But in the end, unable to face her fate, one of the soldiers did it for her. The empress who had once ruled hearts and crushed empires now lay silent among the roses she loved so much. When news of her death spread, Rome didn't celebrate. They gossiped, of course, they always did, but even her enemies couldn't deny. Messalina had been unforgettable. She was young, beautiful, dangerous, and she played a game only men were allowed to play. And for that, she paid the ultimate price. Here's the crazy thing. Centuries later, people still argue about who Messalina really was. Was she truly the monster that ancient writers described, the woman who bathed in luxury and lust? Or was she a victim of powerful men who couldn't handle a woman with ambition? Because think about it. Those same historians who called her evil were men who served emperors, the same men she defied. Maybe she wasn't a villain. Maybe she was just ahead of her time. A woman trapped in a world that punished desire, especially in women. Claudius, for his part, never spoke her name again. He erased her statues, destroyed her portraits, and ordered that no one in Rome mention her. But you know how that goes. The more you try to erase someone, the more their story burns brighter. Messalina became legend, the empress who dared to want too much, the woman who turned passion into rebellion. So next time someone tells you history was all about kings and generals, remember Messalina, the empress who almost ruled Rome with her beauty, who risked everything for love and power, and lost both in one breath. Maybe she was reckless, maybe she was ruthless, but one thing's certain: she was never boring. They say power corrupts, but in Messalina's case, maybe it just fell in love.